Welcome back to Battlefield 2042. We already know that a lot of executives in companies are stupid, but when they go and create a meme, you've got to think to yourself, like, they are being 100% serious when they say this stuff. And in this video, we are talking about why EA believe Battlefield 2042 was a massive disappointment. And this is going to be an article on XFire.com, and it was written by Tom Henderson, who seems to be the latest community manager for the game, because no one else is talking about it that actually should be. But just quickly, before we get any further into the video, if you're not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like. All support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, then check out the links in the description. And let's get into it. So as I said, article XFire, written by Tom, and it says, exclusive, EA acknowledges Battlefield 2042 failure with a town hall post-mortem. EA management ran a company town hall meeting call today, giving previously unknown insight as to how the launch of Battlefield 2042 has been perceived internally by key executives. EA has finally acknowledged the disappointing launch of 2042 in its latest internal town hall meeting call, which was held on the Feb 15th. These quarterly calls aim to provide company-wide key updates on the business by looking at the past, present and future. One of the biggest takeaways from the call held today was the huge focus on 2042. The higher-ups at EA spent over 20 minutes discussing what went wrong with the launch, and also how the company sees the future of both Battlefield 2042 and the Battlefield franchise going forward. Laura Mill, if that's how you pronounce her surname, EA's Chief Studios Officer, so CSO, led the discussion on Battlefield 2042 by acknowledging EA's wider successes, both past and present, but said it's really important to acknowledge when we have misses. Laura continued, this is certainly the case with the Battlefield launch, which failed to meet the expectations of our players and also clearly missed our own expectations. On 2042's failures, Laura outlined several key factors that EA's top brass believe caused this disappointing launch. As mentioned in a video Tom did, one factor was the Frostbite engine, and due to its old tech, the massive update it went through in order to power Battlefield 2042, and from Tom's own reports, this alone took over 18 months of development time, and Laura addressed the engine upgrade by saying, all new tech, it was basically a new engine. They went back, the Frostbite version they were on was so old they had to go back and update it, so it was basically putting the game on a brand new engine. Another major reason for the failure put forward by management, and which wouldn't be a surprise or shouldn't be a surprise, is the work from home environment that many in the industry are currently faced with. Again, excuses, it's full of shit. Everyone was working from home and people were still able to get their jobs done properly, on time and efficiently, and it shouldn't be any different with game development. You still got the same tools, you just can't talk to your colleagues and stuff. So there's a little bit less communication, or it's harder to communicate because it's not face-to-face and stuff, but you should still be able to do your work properly. These people are qualified to do their jobs. But on this, Laura said, add up all of this new innovation, all of the ambition for the new project, and then you add a global pandemic halfway into the project, where the game teams had to work from home, we ended up with more new variables in development than we have ever experienced before. Again, stop with the bullshit. It's all excuses. Get your job done. According to Laura, after the Battlefield beta last summer, EA received a lot of feedback concerning bugs and unpolished areas of the experience. However, there was also a substantial amount of positive feedback from players. Yeah, you know, the brown nosers, they will give you positive feedback. Players saying, this feels like Battlefield, Battlefield is back, this is my Battlefield. So we had to embolden the team. And I mean, you chuck 2042 at someone, they've never played it before, they're going to feel good. Give them 5-6 matches, and yeah, they'll feel how a lot of the community are feeling now. It was then revealed that 2042's bug count ratio got to historic levels for a DICE game, and mock reviews prior to launch were in the high 70s to low 80s. So it's the most bugs they have ever had in a DICE game before. The amount of bugs has, or did reach, historic levels for DICE. Following the game's launch, DICE rolled out its Day 1 and Day 0 patches to get the bug count down further, and on this, Laura continued and said that 2042's launch and patches meant the game was stable and the early critical reception was good. However, according to EA, things took a turn, and that turn was the surprise release of Halo Infinite multiplayer. So it's working from home, it's having so many bugs, and it's also Halo Infinite multiplayer that caused the disappointment within this game. The only thing that's right out of those three are the bugs. The game was so fucking broken at launch, and still is in some part. It's nowhere near as bad as it was at launch. But I mean, they put out, 3 major updates in the span of like a month or two. I think it was actually the first month. But this game was so bad at launch, you cannot blame anything else. In fact, if Laura has anything to do with the release of Battlefield 2042, she's to blame as well. Anyone that said this game was ready for release was just lying. This game only come out when it did due to getting that Christmas money. If it wasn't November when it was planned to come out, they would have delayed it. Like if it was February, we would have seen the game in June or in August or something like that. Because it was set to come out so close to Christmas, nobody wanted to delay it further. But when they're using the release of another game, you just have to laugh. And that's going to create memes all over the internet. I think it already has started creating memes. But it's definitely something to be memed. Because you don't look at another project and go, this is quite polished. This was a surprise release. I mean, EA are really good at surprises. Do you remember the loot boxes? They're not loot boxes, they're surprise mechanics. They love surprises. They're trying to use Halo Infinite multiplayer as a reason for Battlefield 2042 doing so bad. It's just a load of shit, and you know for a fact it is, because it was stated that they sold 4.2 million copies in the first week. So how did Halo Infinite multiplayer hold them back? It didn't. There is absolutely no way it did. Granted, there were people on Halo Infinite multiplayer, and a lot of people, because the game's polished, it works, it's fun, all of the above. But there's barely anyone playing BF 2042 now, because the game is so shit. You don't have a scoreboard, you don't have VoIP, or anything like that. It's a bare bones Battlefield game that doesn't even feel like a Battlefield game. Half the time I sit there playing, even if I am enjoying it, I wouldn't put a Battlefield name to it. I would just say, I'm playing a random first-person shooter, because that's what it feels like. It doesn't have anything that Battlefield should. You've got 128 players, you're limited to 4-player squads, you're not allowed to change your squad, you're not allowed to leave your squad. There's a lot of issues, and we've covered most of them before, so I'm not going to go over them again, you guys know exactly what they are. But it's absolutely absurd that they are using the surprise release of Halo Infinite multiplayer to explain why 2042, or try and explain why 2042 had such a bad reception. According to Laura, the comparison between both games wasn't favourable because Halo was a very polished title, whereas 2042 contained bugs and wasn't as polished. The game's poor Steam reviews were put down to PC players having a performance cap, because they capped people's performance on PC, and players on Steam found that upsetting. In addition, negative player feedback overall was focused on 3 key areas which EA would further elaborate on. So number 1, bugs and performance. Number 2, game design and feature choices. I mean, there's no feature choices at all. They haven't put any features in the game, besides driving a fucking hovercraft up the side of a skyscraper and putting capture flags on top of skyscraper rooftops. That was some of their feature choices. I mean, it also ties into the game design too. And then number 3 was the game not aligning with player expectations. It's not going to. It's a live service piece of shit. Turning to the future, Laura proceeded to explain what the company has since learned in those 3 areas and what actions will be taken to improve upon them. On the bugs and performance, EA acknowledged that the company has historically had bug issues with DICE games at launch, and that the bug count for Battlefield 2042 did fall into the range that they would have expected when compared to other launches. So they knew how broken the game was, they still fucking released it and charged you $120 for it. And for a long time there were people defending it, as there always is with every single game that seems to come out from a big company. No matter which corner you look at it from, which angle you check it out from, there's always going to be people defending it, even if it is broken. Even if you can sit there and prove that something is broken, you'll still have people saying, but it's not broken, you're lying, I haven't experienced that. Even if you have proved it in the video you've created. That's something that happens to me quite often. I used to just talk about bugs and put random gameplay in the background, but now I've started actually putting the specific bugs in the footage and making a lot more cuts and spending a lot more time editing just to prove that these things are actually real, because so many people are blind to these big AAA companies and stupid when it comes to defending them that they don't see the issues even if you show them. So as long as I prove them in my videos and I show the bugs that I encounter, then I don't need to prove anything to anyone. It's already there. So if people want to stop being blind, they can open their eyes, have a look and see the issues are there. But again, we'll say it one more time before we move on. EA knew how many bugs there were in this game and they still charged you $120 to go out and purchase it. Now carrying on. So it was believed that the issues would be manageable, with Laura reiterating Andrew Wilson's comments from EA's latest quarterly earnings call, saying that DICE historically is very good at adapting games in live service, connecting with players, connecting with the community, and getting the game to the place that the players expect. I mean, hold up, Steam charts time. Battlefield 2042, 2,100 people currently playing. Yeah, 24-hour peak of 2,665. Right now there's 7,200 people playing Battlefield 1. There are 21,000 on Battlefield 5. Even Battlefield 4, which is like an 8 or 9 year old game, and the 24-hour peak is almost as many players as Battlefield 2042 currently has. So yeah, they're so good at connecting with their players and connecting with the community. You mean the 2,000 players that are left on Steam? They're probably even less on console, because PC has a better time handling this game. Yeah, there's pretty much no players or community left to fucking interact with. So I don't know how we're going to hold your hand this time, DICE. I don't know how we're going to help you fucking fix the game this time. You might have to go to some of them big YouTubers that will happily hold your hand regardless of the mistakes you make. Some of those ones that will shill time and time again to try and get the sponsorships. We all know who I'm talking about. However, Laura acknowledged that player expectations have changed when it comes to live service games, and that it wasn't the right choice to remain anchored to the company's standards in comparison to previous DICE games. So you check out, Battlefield 5 launched with 2,000 bugs. I mean, as long as 2042 don't have more than that, we're alright, yeah? That's now going to be the company standard, 2,000 bugs at launch in a $120 game. And the reason expectations have changed when it comes to live service is because we expect no more live service. That's all we want, a fully polished product when you sell it to us for full AAA prices. That's all players have ever asked for. Make our games work. Allow us to have fun. Give us a fucking scoreboard, some in-game chat when it's a cross-platform title. It's ridiculous how they've released this game and they're still trying to deflect it onto other things like Halo, like the players. DICE have a history of having releases so bad, yet they connect with the players and the players help them build the game. If you don't know how to build a game and fix it, don't fucking do it. And if you've had success in the past, BF3, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, then build on that success. Use that as a foundation. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's why I complain about games trying to be so innovative in their sequels. Players don't want that. They want more of what was there previously. They just want it upgraded and enhanced. You look at Dying Light 1 and Dying Light 2, and I don't care how many people still want to defend Dying Light 2. Dying Light 1 had a fantastic night atmosphere. Dying Light 2, I didn't really at all go out through the night time because it fucking sucks. The atmosphere is horrible. You're only getting volatile chases if you get to chase level like 3 or 4. You've got howlers absolutely everywhere that initiate the chases. You've got some stupid immunity timer. Just let people explore at night time. If they see volatiles, let them get scared by the volatiles. Do it how it was done in Dying Light 1. How fucking hard is it to make a sequel that's just improved and better than the first one? But back to this article, turning to Battlefield 2042 design and feature choices, the lack of a scoreboard and VoIP, as well as the specialist systems, another thing players didn't want in the game, but they never listened to it because of money. And I mean, if you look at the game now, we're 3 months after release and they still haven't got any fucking microtransactions in. So their own plans failed. That's why they're so pissed off. Because there's no way right now they're getting away with adding a load of monetization into the game. And they've got to wait like 5-6 months to actually add another specialist into the game because they're tied to the seasons. They fucked this up themselves and they don't even realise. But those systems and stuff were mentioned for a brief moment, and we already know that improvements and additions in these areas will be coming in future months. Player testing was also referred to and how the game didn't align to player expectations, with Laura saying, clearly we didn't go wide enough with different player segments, and we clearly didn't go deep enough with the game, so we didn't bring players along with us, which is a big miss for the development cycle and process of this game. So basically we fucked up, but we don't know how to properly take responsibility and correct our mistakes, so we're just going to keep saying all this random shit and hopefully you lot are happy with it. But Byron Bede, Rebecca Kutaz and Christian Grass all gave their own thoughts on Battlefield 2042 too. And I'm sorry I don't know any of these people. I don't know their job roles or anything like that. And I've probably also butchered one of their surnames, or at least one. So apologies, but moving on. Most of these details have been publicly mentioned already, including a revision of 2042 specialist system. So Rebecca Kutaz did acknowledge how important it is to have player feedback, and that a new initiative in this regard will kick off later this month. And that's by discussing map design and the way we want to improve the player space. It's not clear if this will involve wider public feedback or just from select individuals. So go on, get those specific individuals in. The ones that will tell you how to create a fucking zombie mode over anything else. The ones that are so out of touch with their communities when they're creating their content and stuff. And just those that play the game and they're happy with the specialists. Go and get their feedback. See how much it makes you fail. How much further this game goes into the shitter. Just put out surveys. We're thinking of having exactly the same maps, just making them smaller, or even keeping the maps as they are, just adding more buildings, then put out an image, show where you want to put the buildings, and get player feedback through a worldwide survey. Something like that. Get the players that want to play the game, that have paid you money, get them involved. Don't just go from select individuals, because those individuals will have their own minds. They will want their own thing in the game. You have to go with wider public feedback. And it's not hard to put out surveys and actually describe things properly so players understand them 100% in these surveys. The entire way that all teams work on Battlefield will also be transformed, with all of Battlefield's development teams being restructured to ensure a more streamlined development process. Nothing needs to be streamlined, you just need to fix the fucking game and add content to it. And if you think about it, Battlefield 5 release date, 9th of November 2018. When did Battlefield 2042 come out? I believe early access started on the 12th of November 2021. Full release 19th of November. 3 years, yeah? So they had 18 months to work on that fucking game engine, being Frostbite. And then you're telling me at the most they had 18 months to develop the rest of the game? Or did they work on it all together? So instead of spending 3 years working on the Frostbite engine and making it run better, they only spent half the time they had. Moving on towards the bottom of this, on a personal note, overall to Tom, it seemed that EA was either still grasping as to why 2042 failed, or they just didn't want to share those details with the team. I'd go with that one. They're too embarrassed. Either that or they're just not willing to take responsibility, so they're ashamed of themselves. Which they fucking should be by every right. So Tom said it time and time again, all the issues the players have with 2042 were not only brought up during the beta, but during the playtest that leaked online as well. Over 3 months after launch, none of those issues have been addressed, which could still indicate problems with the new and improved Frostbite engine. Not only that, there were issues within development before the game come out too, so they're probably still a thing, and the whole company, DICE, is falling apart, and EA don't know how to fucking staple it together. And they're probably not providing enough money to get things done. But nonetheless, Battlefield 2042 seems to be in good hands moving forward. I don't fucking believe that for a second. Byron Bede, Rebecca Kutaz, Christian Grass, Marcus Leto or Leto, and Vince Zampella are strong leaders. But actions speak louder than words, and a lot is riding on Battlefield 2042 Season 1. As always, I'll keep you in the loop regarding 2042. So that's the end of the article. And if you look at those names I just read out, they're all strong leaders. Doesn't matter how strong of a leader you are, it's about the people that can do the fucking job. You could be the strongest leader in the world, and you can still have people that aren't competent enough to do what you're instructing them to do. It's not just about the people that are leaders, it's about the people that do the work too. And as I said, yeah, there are memes. There are people quoting, well, not even quoting, questioning Laura from EA. Is this also Halo Infinite's fault? And they're showing issues within 2042. So well done, EA. Well done. You've created yourselves memes again, and you failed to take responsibility. Not only that, you said this is industry standard or this is company standards to release with so many bugs. We felt it was within standard, so they've charged you $120 fucking dollars, knowing full well how broken the game was. So just let that one sink in and remember that for future EA titles. What we're going to do is wrap the video up there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.